What's up guys, Pogo9Volt here, and today I'm going to be covering some Master League Premier Cup battles featuring a Shadow Machamp. This is one of the best Pokemon in my collection. It is a Best Buddy maxed out Hundo Shadow Machamp. I got it from GoFest during the Team Rocket days. Featured as the safe swap for this team is triple Shadow moveset Gengar, and as the lead is a Glaceon with triple Ice type moves. Hopping right into the battles here. I ran Machamp lead whenever I started running this line of three, but I found that Togekiss, Dragonite, and Gyarados leads were way too prominent for me, for my liking for a Machamp lead. I found myself swapping into bad scenarios pretty often, so I did switch to a Glaceon lead. Glaceon into Rhyperior normally would be a good matchup with its standard moveset. However, this one is running Smackdown as the fast move, which is not good for me. I do lose CMP here as the Glaceon. I anticipate just letting it go down to the Surf and coming in with Machamp and farming the whole way down. However, I live on 1 HP and I'm able to get off this Avalanche. If this Rhyperior doesn't shield, maybe anticipating like an Icy Wind, it will one-shot. Lucky enough for me, he anticipates an Icy Wind, and the Rhyperior goes down. The Glaceon wins that matchup with 1 HP. Gyarados, Waterfall version of Gyarados comes in. I'm definitely seeing Waterfall more often than Dragon Breath. I think that's just because it does a better job against Metagross. It's a safer win than with the resisted Dragon Breath. I will shield here, anticipating an Aqua Tail. However, he throws the Crunch, which gives me a pretty good indicator that it doesn't have Aqua Tail, and it gives me a little more leeway in terms of farming before he throws a charge move. I go for the Shadow Punch bait here, hoping to grab one of his shields, since Machamp in the back will not be able to deal with this Gyarados very well. And he does actually shield, so I'm able to get another Shadow Punch off. And I doubt he shields this because it is just Shadow Punch, and he knows that, but he does shield anyway, and farms my Gengar the whole way down. Coming in with Machamp here. As you can see, those waterfalls really chunk away, especially at the Shadow version. I get to the Rock Slide, but it's just too late. He throws this charge move. Worried that it's an Outrage, I go ahead and shield. It's just a crunch, but that's fine. Better safe than sorry. And he brings in a Hundo Metagross. Very solid Pokemon in this league. It does pick up the normal Machamp matchup. However, with the Shadow Machamp, and especially with the Best Buddy bonus, Machamp actually takes this matchup and swings it in its favor. Race to the charge move here. I'm going to throw the Cross Chop just before he gets to his Meteor Mash. Leaving it with a sliver of HP, and one more counter will be enough to take down the Metagross. And at this point, it's a race, him to Waterfall farm me down, and me to get to this Rock Slide. I could have attempted to hit the Cross Chop there against the Gyarados, but I didn't want to risk it, and I went ahead and hit the safe Rock Slide to take Game 1 of this set. Game 2, going up against Super Z-Rod, someone that I actually know from Go Stadium. He is running a Shadow Snorlax lead. Unfortunate that I'm not leading Machamp in this scenario, but that's alright. We'll see how I do. So like I said, Shadow Snorlax lead here. Actually one of the highest ranked Pokemon for Master League Premier Cup. And no surprise, it's such a tank. It doesn't really get hard countered by much, except, lucky me, Machamp. And it destroys a lot of the common things in the meta. It can take on Metagross with the super effective licks adding up, with Earthquake in the back to put insane shield pressure on Metagross. If it's carrying Superpower, this Glaceon matchup is extremely easy. Togekiss' Charms don't add up fast enough. Dragonite's Dragon Breath and Claws just can't handle the damage output of the Snorlax, and it still has a very high attack despite being one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the meta. My team is pretty much the antithesis of bulk. 3 of the glassiest Pokemon in the meta, but despite that, it does seem to be working okay for me so far. There's definitely some things that wall it. Steel type leads are very, very hard for Glaceon. Metagross and Magnezone being the most common of those two. There's not much you can really do. There's no coverage moves. Even if I had the quote-unquote coverage move of Last Resort, it wouldn't be enough. But the Avalanche provides an interesting play where sometimes in certain scenarios, when you know your opponent is going to anticipate the Icy Wind, you can throw the Avalanche instead and catch them off guard for a lot of damage. So I do lose the lead matchup here, but that's okay. He comes in and farms some with his Metagross, and then swaps to catch the Cross Chop on the Garchomp. This is fine by me. I'll stick out this matchup. I would rather have the Gengar up against the Metagross than against the Garchomp. Garchomp easily destroys Gengar, no questions asked. He uses up his last shield here. I'm going to let the Machamp go down. I anticipate the Outrage here, but that's okay, because I'll be able to farm down with Gengar, tank one Sand Tomb, and throw Shadow Ball to win. However, he throws another Sand Tomb here, so I get a Cross Chop off. And I actually undertap just a little bit, hoping to give my Gengar some room to farm, and then I instantly swap. However, the energy output of Mudshot is just insane, and so he's able to get yet another Sand Tomb off. I have to let it go because I can't risk tanking a Meteor Mash from Metagross, and he makes the insta swap to Metagross and throws the Meteor Mash at me, forcing my last shield. That's okay. I'm one Shadow Claw away from a Shadow Ball, and that will be easily enough to one-shot. Garchomp has just a little bit of health in the back, but between my Gengar and my Machamp, they have enough to cover it. I'm currently sitting at 2427 rating. That is my current up-to-date rating as of the time this video is being posted. I pretty much skipped Ultra League entirely, so I don't have a lot of battles in this season yet. Pretty much all the battles you see there, except for 10, were from Great League at the very beginning. I normally don't do Master League. I don't have a lot maxed out, but once I got this Machamp, I was pretty set on trying it out in Premier Cup, no matter what. This team, I think it's a pretty solid team overall. It covers pretty much everything in the meta. A lot of the flying types like Dragonite, Togekiss, Gyarados, you can handle in the lead, and they are pretty common in the lead. With the Glaceon, some things that I struggle against, Garchomp in the back can be bad, and obviously Steel-type leads are one of the worst things to encounter. So let's see how I handle it here. Against the Steel-type lead, you don't want to swap into your hard counter, so I keep Gengar in the back as my safe swap. There's not much that can hard counter Gengar except for Snorlax, but even then, some Gengars are running Focus Blast, so Snorlax still, depending, can have some shield pressure put on it. He actually doesn't shield the Shadow Ball here, and despite him building up to more than a Wild Charge, I get a Shadow Claw through here, which if he throws the Wild Charge, which he does, the Shadow Claw is going to take him out before he gets to another charge move. So very fortunate scenario for me there. So I'll go ahead and take down that Magnezone for pretty much a shield. The Gengar is still almost at full health, energy is at 0, or just above 0, and everything is reset, but I am down a shield, but he's down a whole Pokemon. I think he missed swaps there. I don't think he intended to go into Togekiss. Building an energy advantage on Togekiss isn't much of an advantage because it's very rare that Togekiss's matchups are decided by charge moves. He brings in the Garchomp though, and he's going to farm it the whole way down. Not before I get off 2 Shadow Balls though, which are going to take both of his remaining shields. And although it seems somewhat smart to come into Glaceon here, since Garchomp is double weak to it, my Machamp is virtually useless against Togekiss in the back. So I'm going to bring it in first to soak up all of the energy from Garchomp. I'm not going to show the Machamp at all. Maybe I can get a Cross Chop off if I'm lucky, but it doesn't matter because Glaceon is going to be able to farm the Garchomp down the whole way. So he throws Sand Tomb, which I don't shield, and then this Outrage is going to one-shot my Machamp because of that defense drop from Sand Tomb. That's okay though. Glaceon's going to come in, and I will be able to farm Garchomp the whole way down. However, he gets to move first. I'm not going to shield just because I don't want to risk Togekiss getting to a Flamethrower or an Ancient Power. He throws the Sand Tomb here. That's fine. It's going to help the charms add up, but I'm right at this Avalanche, which is going to be enough to one-shot the Togekiss. And I believe just 1 or 2 more Ice Shards will be enough to handle the Garchomp as well. So despite that really terrible lead, I'm able to bring it back and come out with a lot of health remaining still on some of my Pokemon. So that was A good example of how you handle a Magnezone lead. Always swap into Gengar, and I usually go straight for the Shadow Ball. Most people don't expect it, won't shield, and depending on whether or not you get that extra Shadow Claw in, how fast you swap, you might be able to farm it down before it gets to a second Wild Charge. Gyarados is actually a losing lead scenario for Glaceon, unfortunately. However, I make it a little spicy here. Normally, like I said, most people expect you to go for the Icy Wind right off the bat because uh, because of that attack debuff can flip a lot of matchups. However, I go straight for the Avalanche here, which does probably 60, 70, 75% to this Gyarados. So I'm going to shield the Crunch here, and I will put myself in a race for the farm down for me and the Crunch for him. For some reason, I found that a lot of Gyaradoses aren't carrying Aqua Tail. Maybe because people didn't find a good enough Magikarp or anticipate the community day and just went ahead and built it before. I know for me personally, I have a 98% Lucky Gyarados, but it doesn't have Aqua Tail because I evolved it a long time ago. I intend to ETM it at some point, but it's low on the priority list. Bringing in Metagross here could be bad for me. I bring in Machamp instead of Gengar just because Machamp can, in some scenarios, tank a Meteor Mash, whereas Gengar has no chance whatsoever. He swaps in his Machamp as a counter to my Machamp, and I'm going to swap out into Gengar to counter his Machamp. The Rock Slide is actually going to deal a lot of damage here. At this point, my intent was to sack Gengar and then farm his Machamp down with my Machamp, and probably still lose against the 2-shield Metagross. Not much you can do down a shield against a Metagross. However, this comes out very interestingly. He throws the Cross Chop here, which is triple resisted. Does barely any damage to me, and my Gengar lives on 1 HP with 2 Shadow Punches stored up. So he brings in the Metagross here, and I'm going to throw double Shadow Punches, and he actually shields both Shadow Punches. So thankfully, he doesn't get the Bullet Punch off in between those moves. Very close, but I'm able to get both of the Shadow Punches off, and then not allowing him any room to farm, I will insta-swap to Machamp. I farm up to 2 Cross Chops just because I don't think one is going to be enough to take it out. He has no shields, and I probably could have farmed down after the Cross Chop, but I didn't want to risk him getting to a second Meteor Mash, which would easily take me out from this range. So I go back-to-back Cross Chops, and it's enough to secure and lock up this win here. Going into the last game of the set here, a lead that you do indeed love to see is Glaceon versus Togekiss. One of the more favorable leads. A lot of teams that I've seen now have a double flyer type thing with either Togekiss or Dragonite, Togekiss Gyarados, a lot featuring Togekiss, and it is a pretty strong lead option unless you run into, say, Metagross or Magnezone, which hard wall it. So they pace each other pretty evenly on the Charms versus the Ice Shards in terms of damage. However, you do get Chargers much faster. I anticipated him to switch out there, but oddly enough, he didn't. So that leads me to believe he maybe has a Dragonite in the back or something similar, a Garchomp, something that Glaceon can also handle. He swaps in a Swampert here. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and Icy Wind Swampert, and just to get that attack debuff so that these Hydro Cannons will do less to my incoming Machamp, swap out in a Machamp, and I'm going to go ahead and farm a little bit, and then throw the Cross Chop. He does get to his charge move before I do, and anticipating the Hydro Cannon, I don't shield. However, my opponent goes straight for the Earthquake, and that does about 70% damage to Machamp. So very good play by him, kind of faking me out there. But I do get the Cross Chop, and I'm only leaving the Togekiss 1 or 2 charms worth of room to farm. Togekiss comes back in, 1, 2, and the Machamp goes down. I will come back in with Glaceon. It'll probably be able to beat me to any move. It throws the Flamethrower here instead of the Ancient Power, which I thought was a little bit strange. Maybe it's single moved. Guys, my headset cut out there for some reason. So jumping back in where we left off, the Togekiss is going to throw the Flamethrower into my Glaceon here. And that's okay. I have a 2-shield Gengar coming in to farm it down. The charms do add up a little bit, but they are resisted by the Gengar. So even though it is pretty glassy, it can handle them okay. And I have almost an entire Shadow Ball for whatever comes in next. It is Magnezone, and because I have 2 shields, I am comfortable going straight double Shadow Ball into it, which will be enough to KO it. Hoping that he doesn't shield the first one, anticipating a bait, but he does call it right, but that's okay. I have more than enough energy to go ahead and take it out with this Shadow Ball, and I believe one more Shadow Claw will be enough to do it. 2 more Shadow Claws is enough to take down this Magnezone, and that there is the end of my 5-0 set with Machamp. Let me know what you guys thought. Any suggestions, any teams that I could possibly run with the Machamp. Yeah, any questions you guys have, let me know in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching, as always.